Hello Moto GP fans. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Pecco Bagnaia admitted responsibility after a shock Friday at Buriram, where the double world champion failed to progress directly to Q2 at the 2026 Thai Grand Prix. The Ducati rider, who arrived at the season opener with renewed confidence following encouraging testing, described definitely a complicated day, and blamed timing, conditions and his own setup choices for a performance well below expectations. Reigning champion Marc Márquez admitted after Friday practice at the 2026 Thai Grand Prix that his riding still needs work as he adapts to the 2024 spec Ducati aero. The decision to revert to the older package was driven by a shoulder injury sustained in Indonesia last year, and the Spaniard says the change, plus ongoing recovery, means he is not yet back to his instinctive, automatic style. Fabio Quartararo arrived at Buriram expecting progress on Yamaha's new V4 M1. Instead, he left Friday's practice frustrated and candid. The 2021 world champion finished as the fastest Yamaha but only 16th overall, and warned that the team still lacks a clear development path for the 2026 package. With engine updates unlikely before Le Mans, Quartararo is tempering expectations and trying to manage the season with calm and measured work. Toprak Razgatlioglu admits the jump from World SBK to Moto GP has exposed a clear weakness: corner entry braking on the Yamaha M1. The Pramac rookie says veteran tester Andrea Dovizioso has been tutoring him on braking technique, but translating instruction into practice remains a work in progress. After a difficult first day at Buriram, Toprak is focused on steady adaptation rather than instant results. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Bagnaia looked sharp in the morning, but the afternoon session unraveled. Rain and wind disrupted track conditions, forcing teams into quick decisions. For Bagnaia, a small setup change had an outsized effect. The result was 15th on the timesheets, and the only GP26 rider not through to Q2 after Friday. "I didn't work well in that moment. It was definitely a complicated day in the afternoon. I wasn't able to be competitive." The sequence was brutal: a promising start, a tweak that backfired, and then a weather window that closed any easy recovery. Bagnaia accepted the blame, saying he just worked bad and didn't adapt to the altered conditions. Ducati's engineers and riders were forced to react as rain and wind arrived. Bagnaia believes the team never hit the right window to extract a representative lap, and that trying a slightly different setup in the afternoon cost him. "I think we never managed to get the timing right." In MotoGP, small setup changes can have dramatic consequences. On a day when the weather dictated urgency, Bagnaia's gamble didn't pay off. He suggested that, in hindsight, staying out of the session might have been the wiser call. Marco Bezzecchi and Aprilia set the early benchmark at Buriram, with Bezzecchi delivering a dominant FP1 and showing the kind of pace others will chase. Bagnaia acknowledged the gap and singled out Bezzecchi's advantage going into the weekend. "This morning was pretty good, although we still see a super fast Aprilia with Bezzecchi, and right now I think he has a nice gap over everyone else." Bezzecchi's strong showing compounds the pressure on Bagnaia. Not only must he recover his own rhythm, but he must do so against rivals who appear immediately competitive. Bagnaia was clear that Friday's result is not the final word. He framed Saturday as a chance to reset, promising to give it 100% to reach Q2. Ducati's other riders, including Marc Márquez, Alex Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio, made it through, leaving Bagnaia to fight his way back. "It's the first day. We have tomorrow to get back to Q2 and give it 100%. The immediate task is pragmatic. Find a setup that suits the changing conditions, extract a fast lap in the right window, and limit the damage." For a rider of Bagnaia's caliber, a comeback is expected, but the margin for error at the season opener is thin. Pecco Bagnaia's Friday at Buriram was a reminder that even champions can be undone by timing, weather and a single setup call. He has taken responsibility and set a clear objective: recover on Saturday and rejoin the fight for the front row. The Thai GP will test Ducati's adaptability and Bagnaia's composure, and how quickly he can turn a self-described bad session into a weekend that matches preseason promise. Marquez has been clear that his shoulder recovery is shaping how he rides. The 2025 aero demanded a more physical approach on the right side, so he switched to the less aggressive 2024 setup to reduce strain. That compromise, however, requires him to alter his technique. "I need to improve myself. I need to keep working on my riding style. Still, I'm not riding in an automatic way." The change is pragmatic: protect the body now, chase peak performance later. But it also means Marquez must relearn certain inputs and timing that previously came naturally. Preseason testing and Friday's sessions have exposed the gap between preparation and race rhythm. Marquez says testing is particularly demanding on his physical condition, and the volume of laps amplifies any weakness in the shoulder. Practice at Buriram has been a mix of useful data and reminders that adaptation takes time. Testing is always harder for physical condition than race weekend. The repetitive nature of testing forces riders to confront limitations. Marquez's approach has been cautious, prioritizing consistency over risky pushes that could aggravate his injury. Friday afternoon brought a tense moment when Marquez briefly found himself outside the top 10 cut for direct Q2 entry. A strategic tire call and a late-time attack ultimately secured his place, but he described the session as tricky and admitted the team were fortunate not to face a Q1 scrap. "We were lucky that there were only some drops and not like in Moto 2, where it was heavier rain." Small margins and split-second decisions defined the session. Marquez's experience and the team's quick reaction salvaged a result that could easily have gone the other way. Marco Bezzecchi and Aprilia set a high benchmark at Buriram, and Marquez acknowledged they currently look a step ahead. Still, the champion's focus is incremental improvement: refine his style, build shoulder strength, and reintroduce more aggressive aero when ready. Ducati remains confident in his recovery and in-season development. "So, let's see if tomorrow I can do a step. But at the moment, it looks like Aprilia and Marco are riding really fast here." Marquez's season will be a balance of patience and ambition, protecting his body while hunting the margins that win races and, ultimately, titles. Marc Márquez's frank assessment after Friday practice is a reminder that even champions must rebuild parts of their craft after injury. He is not yet riding with the automatic fluency fans expect, but his experience, measured approach, and Ducati's support give him a clear path to regain form. Buriram is an early test of that process, small steps now, with the aim of bigger gains as the season unfolds. Yamaha's V4 project has struggled through the winter, and the issues showed at the Thai Grand Prix. Quartararo's best lap left him more than a second off the pace, underlining how far the M1 is from the front. He admitted he had been a bit too optimistic about the bike's potential coming into the year. "I don't think there is a clear direction yet." That frank assessment reflects growing impatience inside the garage. The package needs a defined roadmap, and until Yamaha finds it, results will be hard to come by. Quartararo warned that a new engine, a key element of Yamaha's recovery plan, may not arrive until the French Grand Prix in May. He suggested that races in Brazil, the United States and Qatar could run without the upgrade, leaving the team to extract performance from the current specification. "I don't know when it will arrive, but I think that at least until Le Mans we won't have any new engine." Delayed hardware changes force Yamaha to rely on setup work and incremental tweaks, increasing pressure on riders and engineers to find usable gains on track. After a visible show of frustration during testing, Quartararo has shifted tone. He says he's trying to be calmer and avoid mistakes that could damage his reputation while the bike is in flux. The emphasis is on steady work rather than headline-grabbing gestures. "I was a bit too optimistic about the bike's potential. I know what the potential is, and I don't want to go crazy or make mistakes. Especially for my image, which I think is the most important thing. For a rider of Quartararo's standing, managing public perception and team morale is as important as lap times when a project is under pressure. Quartararo's best lap at Buriram was roughly 0.4s slower than his equivalent time on last year's inline 4 M1, a stark metric of regression rather than progress. He faces a tricky Q1 group on Saturday that includes Pecco Bagnaia and Luca Marini, and the immediate task is to salvage qualifying and gather data. The coming races will test Yamaha's ability to stabilize the V4 and to deliver meaningful upgrades. For Quartararo, the season will be about extracting the maximum from an imperfect package while waiting for the hardware fixes that could change the outlook. Fabio Quartararo's blunt verdict after Friday practice is a reminder that technical transitions can be messy and slow. He's chosen a cautious, measured approach, protecting his image and avoiding rash moves, while Yamaha searches for a clearer development direction. Buriram may not offer quick answers, but the team's response in the next few rounds will determine whether the V4 project can be steered back toward competitiveness. The aggressive, late-braking style that served Toprak well in World SBK does not transfer cleanly to the Michelin-shod prototypes. On Friday at Buriram he was 1.839s off the pace and the slowest of the M1 riders, with corner entry errors and rear locking incidents highlighting the gap. In the first phase of braking, I tend to be too aggressive and end up locking up. The symptom is familiar: too much initial aggression, followed by rear instability. On Moto GP machinery, where tire behavior and electronics differ markedly from production-based bikes, that pattern is costly. Andrea Dovizioso, a seasoned Moto GP racer and Yamaha tester, has been explaining the finer points of braking to Toprak, from engine braking modulation to timing and weight transfer. Toprak says he understands the instructions but finds it hard to apply them consistently, especially in traffic. Dovizioso is explaining to me how to brake, and I understand his instructions. The problem is that it all becomes difficult when I try to put it into practice. Coaching from a rider of Dovizioso's caliber is invaluable, but the leap from verbal guidance to muscle memory takes laps. The rookie must unlearn instincts honed on superbikes and rebuild inputs suited to the M1's dynamics. Michelin tires react differently to aggressive inputs than the rubber Toprak used in SBK. He reports that pushing too hard at the start of braking often locks the rear and forces him off the ideal line, compounding errors through the corner. Finding a balance between aggression and control is the immediate technical challenge. If I try to be aggressive, the rear tire locks up and I go offline. The solution lies in calibrated braking and smoother transitions, a subtle art on MotoGP bikes where small changes in pressure and timing yield big differences in stability. Toprak admits the difficulty multiplies when he follows another rider closely, a situation that demands both precision and adaptability. Despite the struggles, he saw a small improvement on Friday and remains optimistic about incremental gains across the weekend. Today, however, I managed to make a slight improvement, but we'll see tomorrow. Early signs of progress are encouraging. With targeted coaching, data analysis and patient repetition, Toprak can convert Dovizioso's guidance into consistent on-track performance. Toprak Razgatlioglu's debut MotoGP weekend is a study in adaptation, a champion from another discipline learning to temper instinct with new technique. Andrea Dovizioso's mentorship gives him a clear roadmap, but the real work is physical and repetitive, laps that rebuild braking feel and timing. Buriram will not be the final verdict. It is the first chapter in a season where steady learning, not instant results, will define Toprak's progress. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!